So one thing about God that he hates is for us to use his temple as a front to do evil, to use his name to do evil, to compare God with pagan gods, to God that is insulting, that goes against everything that he commands, everything that he is. It is not his heart to be like the pagan gods. And when we who are called by his name worship other gods, when we defile the temple of God and use that as a front to say, look, I'm a servant of God, of Jesus, but we do the things contrary to who he is, then that is called blasphemy. And of course, that is what Satan does. He wants to blaspheme the name of God. He wants to turn the truth into his truth, which of course, he is the father of lie. He can never, ever receive anything that's truthful, for he came to steal, kill, and destroy. And that is what false teachings, false religion is, goes contrary to everything who God is. In Jeremiah 7, this is what the people were doing. They were putting a front, using God's temple, using God's name, in order for them to please themselves and to please other gods. And God came down and was very, very upset with these people. See, the God we serve is merciful. He will always come and tell the people through the prophets, do a spring cleaning. Come on, clean up the way you live and serve me, the only true God. Everybody was believing the lie. This is God's temple. This is God's temple. This is God's temple. No, it's not. The parents will send the children out to gather wood while the father made the fire. The mother made the cakes to offer to the idols. Now, they did this in God's temple. And they thought just because they were in God's temple, that they were claiming that this was God's temple, that they were safe, that they were not going to be destroyed because they were, God's people supposedly, but they were doing everything that was contrary to the character, the persona, who God is. And today we see that happening with a lot of false teachings, which of course Babylon the Great is the one pushing the agenda to blaspheme the name of God. Revelations 18, using the Message translation, ruined, ruined, great Babylon, ruined. A ghost town for demons is all that's left. A garrison of carrion spirits, garrison of loathsome carrion birds. All nations drank the wild wine of her whoring. Kings of the earth went whoring with her. Entrepreneurs made millions exploiting her. Just then I heard another shout out of heaven. Get out, my people, as fast as you can, so you don't get mixed up in her sins, so you don't get caught in her doom. Her sins stink to high heaven. God has remembered every evil she's done. Give her back what she's given, double what she's doubled on in her works, double the receipt in the cup of the mixed. Bring her flaunting in wild ways to torment and tears, because she gloated. I'm queen over all and no widow, never a tear on my face. In one day, disasters will crush her, death, heartbreak, and famine. Then she'll be burned by fire because God, the strong God who judges her, has had enough, has had enough. Today in false religion, God is going to come a point where God's going to have enough with all these false teachings, all these fake pastors, all these fake doctrines that cause division, especially amongst Christians. But we are not the circumcision of flesh. We are the circumcision of the heart. Therefore, we are God's people now. We now inherit the promises of Abraham. So we today need to come out of Babylon the Great. Just as in Jeremiah 7, God told the people, do a spring cleaning. Come on, live right. Let go of all these false teachers and idols. But of course they didn't listen. And not only they didn't listen, they did the most disgusting thing imaginable. And this is what they did. So what was it that they were doing that was so disgusting to God's eyes? Well, they went to the point where they started throwing their babies into the fire alive. And then they used to have in the background these drums to quiet the cries of the children, of the babies. And they were doing this to sacrifice to this one god, Molech. So they were throwing their babies alive into the fire. And this is what God said. You have done the most abominable thing. You have done the most disgusting thing imaginable. This has never came into my heart. I've never thought about this. This is not me. I never commanded this. That is not my character. For I am a good God. I'm a just God. I don't make up these crazy punishments. I'm the creator of everything. And you have blasphemed my name by doing this abominable thing in the land that I gave you, that I gave your ancestors. And now this land is going to become desolate. Corpses are going to pile up. The crows are going to come and eat the flesh. The coyotes are going to roam around this land, and it's going to be a desolate land because you did the most abominable thing imaginable. This has never came into my heart. Thankfully, these kids ended up passing away, and they didn't suffer. They probably suffered a few minutes burning in the fire, hopefully less than that, hopefully seconds. But thankfully, they died and didn't have to continue with this suffering. But I bet you one thing, if this Molech was a real God and he was able to bring life, I bet you this Molech would have kept the kids alive and had them suffer forever and ever in this burning fire, because that is what false teachings want. Satan, if it was up to Satan, he would have had these kids alive forever and keep them burning, suffering forever. And Babylon the Great teaches that God himself is going to have people burning and suffering, excruciating pain forever and ever. This goes against all of reasoning. In the book of Proverbs, it tells us that we are always to guard clear thinking, that we are to have common sense in our life. Never lose sight of being a reasonable person, of being a person with good judgment. For this is what's going to establish this earth. It's going to establish justice, judgment, truth, loyalty. We're not going to have these crazy pagan teachings anymore. For fallen is Babylon the Great. God is establishing the New Jerusalem today. He's rebuilding, and it's the city of truth. It is the city of the great King, where he has come back and has resided. He has made it his dwelling place to offer to everybody the spiritual water. For the Spirit and the bride say, come. Isaiah 55, using the Message translation. Hey there, all who are thirsty, come to the water. All you penniless, come anyway, buy and eat. Come, buy your drinks, buy wine and milk. Buy without money, everything's free. Why do you spend your money on junk food, your hard-earned cash on cotton candy? Listen to me, listen well. Eat only the best. Fill yourself with only the finest. Pay attention, come close now. Listen carefully to my life-giving, life-nourishing words. I'm making a lasting covenant, commitment with you, the same that I made with David, sure, solid, enduring love. I set him up as a witness to the nations, made him a prince and leader to the nations, and now I'm doing it to you. You'll summon nations you'll never heard of, and nations who never heard of you will come running to you because of me, your God, because the Holy One of Israel has honored you. So God is keeping his covenant, the one he told David. And he told David that through you, the lineage will always be somebody on the throne. And this is Jesus Christ. And today, Jesus Christ is with his elect on Mount Zion to establish rule on this earth. So everybody come out of Babylon the Great and come to Mount Zion. Shalom.